discussion. We have a motion and a second. Anything else to add? One thing we need to delete is the American Legion Baller Springs. They can't make it tonight. They have a meeting that they have to go to. It's very important to them, though. They want to move out to next month. And also, I want to add Roger Lloyd to come up right after Appearance of Citizens, and what he's going to do is talk about really how safe, or all the safeguards that he's done for the courthouse. I know we took it up, months ago, but I think now that we're all coming back in, he can give us an update on it. If that's all right. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Appearance of citizens, we don't have any in the courtroom, so Roger?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
before Roger gets started, I think it might be good if you may have already said this and I didn't hear you, but let the people at home know that we've gone to in-person meetings, and that if they're looking for it online.
That's a good point, because that was my hesitation, to see if there's anybody in the virtual world that wanted to speak.
I noticed that.
But that is correct. From here on out until the governor changes things, we'll be doing all meetings in public. Everyone is invited, and if you're listed now, you can hear about the safety.
But don't we have right now the operations meetings and the full commission meetings are still televised?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
And budget.
And budget.
And budget.
Mhm. Thank you. Go ahead, Roger.
Okay, I'm Roger Lloyd, Anderson County Buildings and Grounds Director. To kind of catch everybody up on what we have been doing and still yet doing to today. As you come in the front door, you're supplied with a mask if you desire one. It's kind of like, I don't think you have to have one on the first and second floor. We are still taking temperatures as you walk through the door. As of May of last year, through the ESG programs and stuff that we did, the county has installed ionizer on all the air handlers, water source heat pumps, anything to do with HVAC. We have installed those. Plus the other stuff throughout the courthouse I've done, we've taken supplied everybody in here with wipes, with hand sanitizer. I've put several Perel hand sanitizing stations throughout all the courthouse. I have my people, we run an ionizer, we have a backpack, we have 2 handhelds, we sanitize 3 days a week. Then plus here lately, during all this, I had trouble, you just couldn't hire nobody. You couldn't get nobody to come in so I'm kind of small staffed. I have hired a crew that actually cleans 3 nights a week. They hand sanitize the common areas. They run a little sanitizer. Of course, we have the plexiglass. Anything else that CDC says through HR, and kind of like I said, I kind of give props out to emergency management. They have helped me supply with a lot of masks and stuff that I couldn't get a hold of. But each of us departments have been kind of going back and forth, even with the ambulance service. They've helped me on quite a bit of stuff. Anything that anybody suggested as of up to today, I have tried. I mean, and it's kind of like we're way ahead of a lot of other counties as far as the ionization programs and stuff that we have started. Like I said, it all kind of went in last May of last year. We're up to date on about everything that we've installed new. Does have the ionization programs and stuff on them. So we're leaps and bounds above a lot of other people. But still yet, everyday common sense stuff. We wipe stuff down with alcohol wipes. We still hit counters, doorknobs, handrails, elevator doors. Anything that anybody can think of, we've about rubbed the paint off of to keep everybody safe. So that's where I'm at today. And like I said, I have to give props to all the officers. Even if they, they're still kind of scared of this stuff. I understand that. But a lot of the officers that took it upon themselves, they still clean, they still wipe. So anybody that comes in the courthouse ought to feel comfortable walking up to a counter, speaking to someone. Like I said, I've done all that I know, all that CDC tells me to do through HR, through the mayor, through you all. I mean, if there's anything else I can do to more pacify people, we'll try it. But as of right now, that's basically what we do on a daily basis. Y'all satisfied, sir?
Commissioner Meade.
Yeah, is there, what's gonna happen with the drinking fountains and water dispensers?
I am not, as of
Because,
right now.
the only thing that you actually touch if you go to one of those is the control.
Yes, and as of right now, I still have them bagged off. I have. I slid garbage bags back on them. You can use the bottle filling stations to fill your water bottle up because it is a sensor. I've not opened up any hand controls,
Yeah.
and I still yet. And as odd as all this seems, everything that's went, I still have some drinking fountains that I am going to install in the courthouse, but believe it or not, we're about 30,000 behind on due to COVID, and the municipalities buying them out, all the cities, counties, school systems, they got to jump on me, so they're ahead of me on some of that stuff. But like I said, as of right now, until I find out any further from you all or whoever, I got to find out.
I just wonder what the plan was, because it seems.
As of right now, I'm keeping them covered up for everybody's protection, and like I said, you can use them right now. I have them on, well, at least, like I said, I like 2 more in the courthouse. We've done it outside in some of the other county buildings. We do have bottle filling stations because they have sensors on them. And like I said, I've got the bottom parts covered up, so just listening to advice from everybody else.
Just not drinking enough water is also a problem for people, so.
Well, like I said, we do have
Yeah,
bottle filling
yeah,
stations,
yeah.
and you can come in and fill your bottle up or a cup up, so.
I
There you
think
go.
the ionizer is very important. Didn't our school system do the same thing?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, our school system done it, I guess even before we did.
Yeah,
And
and the
they-
CDC is really preaching that now. And
Yeah.
I read an article yesterday about all these school systems doing across the nation. Again, Anderson County was a beacon to this. So we was one of the first ones to actually do that.
Yeah,
But they're touting that as one of the biggest safety things that you can actually do now.
You know, you can buy a system to put in your ventilation system at your house. They don't cost very much. I put one in mine a long time ago.
well, like I said, you have the, kinda like it was brought up earlier, do have the little, what they call like an ultraviolet light, the blue light. We actually have an ionization system here. It's supposed to kill the particles in the air, the dust, and it cuts down. I went from
UV light.
I went from changing the filters. I used to do it quarterly, now I do it every 2 months, just as maybe a little more expensive on the end, but as a cautionary, just pull the filters out. I make my team mask up and all that. We've not had to be honest with you, we've not had a lot of issues in the courthouse, but I think, congratulations to my staff and to the people that work here.
Yeah.
We've kind of took care of one another, so.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know, does the child support court meet the day of the commission meeting?
No,
So there's
nothing.
nothing meeting the day of the meeting?
No, they would meet on Wednesday, Thursday, and a half day Friday.
Okay. So there was some concern about contamination before the full commission meeting and stuff, but it sounds like we'd probably be.
You're safe,
Basically,
I'll be honest with you, I'll
yeah.
stand behind the courthouse before I will anything. And it's just because, well, I'm over it and I kind of take care of things. And exactly what you were saying, I have a lady that comes up here, sometimes she has to wait till 3:30 before anybody comes in this room. We wait till child support gets over with or whatever the proper name is. We do come in here and clean. And like I said, I mean, anything that I think would help, I'm saying the general public, you all or whoever, it doesn't matter. We try to get everything cleaned up, especially rooms, and even if we're having a small meeting, let's say in the planning office, we walk in, we wipe everything down, and I'm not saying anybody's got cooties or however you want to put it, but
Well, you do too.
But it is a precautionary measure for everybody in here.
Thank you. I think that'll help a lot of commissioners that are watching.
Well, like I said, we do clean,
Yeah.
like I said, after child support. I mean, like I said, we still do it daily. But I'm saying especially during meetings, especially if we have several there's a lot of people comes in and out up here. And like I said, you never know from day to day. But as a whole, I think we've done extremely well as far as keeping all of it out here.
Yeah, I agree. When all this first started, I mean, we sent a lot of emails out, everything that was coming out on the market, things that people could do, this come from CDC, Dr. Fout, everybody. So I think the mayor, Roger, Jay, they all jumped on it, and Really made it a safe place for all the employees, in my opinion.
Agreed.
And we'll still continue to try. So we're open to any kind of suggestions, or if you hear something new, all we can do is try.
Thank you, Roger.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything to add other than just what you said. Thank you, Roger.
I appreciate it.
Staff and
Appreciate
what
it.
you've done and keeping the place clean. I haven't heard anything. This is COVID
You got,
related.
we're gonna have people that's gonna gripe and growl, but we're still gonna come to work in the morning.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Appreciate the
sir.
mayor, Jay, and all the department heads taking the lead on this. It's been impressive. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Roger. Mayor's report.
Do what? Well, I was loving the virtual, because I didn't have to, I can have all this stuff like laid out, and I had it all, and now it's even on the floor in there. I look like some kind of edition of American Hoarders. I'll do this so I don't have to pile on top of Commissioner Meredith.
Did you know I found out something the other day that while podiums are to the left of people
No,
that are speaking, it's a left brain, right brain. That if you're to the left of someone, you know, where your right brain takes over, that you get more attention. That's something else I read the other day.
I noticed the mayor moved it more to the
I
left.
did. That's what made me think of it.
well, it is good to be back in person. The first item on the agenda is Resolution 2105-866. This will allow the Anderson County Dental Health Program to accept credit cards as a payment option. And that's in your agenda packet. Jay has reviewed that and approved it to form. And also as a backup there, as part of that, is the current clinic fee schedule. They are looking at redoing that fee schedule, so that will come back to you at another point in time, because they've been encouraged to do, to be eligible for additional grants, a sliding scale. So we'll be coming back with that later.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 21-05-866 to allow the Anderson County Dental Health Program to accept credit cards as payment option.
Have a motion by Commissioner Wandell, second by Commissioner McCamey. Any discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner-
The question I have is, there's always some costs involved in using credit cards instead of checks and cash payments. Are we absorbing that, or is that being added to the people that want to pay by credit card? How are we handling that?
Yes, sir, it's in, on this particular resolution, it's section 2, processing fee shall be collected in an amount that is equal to the amount paid the third-party processor for processing the payment. And if we are going to charge something that's actually in the statute, that we can't make money off charging
Understand,
people for that,
understand.
so. yeah.
That's why I was asking the question, actually.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
All right, next item is a lease agreement. This is a lease on the Barker property that is currently used for the Wolf Valley Convenience Center. It expires on June 30th. I'm requesting a motion to approve the lease for 1 year with an option for month-to-month after 1 year. We do believe we hope we're gonna be on site at the new center in less than a year, but this does give us contingency time in case something goes wrong. Jay I put in your agenda packet the existing agreement. Leanne emailed to you all the new agreement that Jay has modified, and his signature is on that as well. Same terms.
On this,
Commissioner McCamey?
we can, with 30 days written notice, terminate the lease at any time.
Yes, sir, I'll put that in there. That's
Okay,
what
good.
changed.
Good. So if we get the new one ready, we can plan and make the transition
Sure, that's
within a
correct.
year.
That's correct.
Commissioner Yates?
Not a huge deal, but why didn't this go through purchasing instead of operations?
The last time it came through this committee, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, just checking, just form.
I've got a printed out copy if anybody wants to see it. thanks
Mr.
to
Chairman, where,
our
did you
secretary.
see, I'm looking online, and I may not have the latest copy, I don't see the 30 days, I see a 90 days. Oh, there it is, it's in section 5 under payments.
Leanne sent it out, this afternoon, I guess about 2 or 3, Mayor.
Oh,
Yes,
It's got the modification in, sir.
Section 12, Mr. Chairman, does it go from 90 to 30 now?
At least, yeah, at least may cancel this lease for 30 days.
Okay, cool.
Lessee has the ability to cancel.
I just got an old copy is what it was. Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion on that?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Well, it's great being able to do that without having to do the roll call. I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
the next is Resolution 2105867. This would allow the Anderson County EMS Department to accept credit cards, debit, and e-checks, which are considered the same as a credit or debit card, as a payment option. Requesting a motion to approve. Jay has not reviewed this one yet. I did talk to him about it, and it's,
It's gonna be the same.
Yeah.
I don't see any problems whatsoever. This one.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, subject to law director approval.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Meade, second by Commissioner Meredith, upon law director approval. Any discussion? Commissioner Wandale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, I assume this would probably help, obviously, collect more funds.
yes, well, and just the world is moving to electronic,
Yeah.
and so that's why we did it with the animals, we're doing it with dental, the dental program. A lot of people just do not carry cash anymore. And especially, as an example for EMS and the dental program, there may be a large bill, and people can put it on a credit card, but they can't come up with the cash in that amount for the service that they need, so.
Just get worried if you come in here with a resolution asking to accept cryptocurrency. Then I'll get a little.
For what?
Cryptocurrency. I'll get a little nervous.
Bitcoin and.
Yeah, Bitcoin, yeah. That's a good idea.
Will we take gold and silver at this point?
Well, yeah, I think we should definitely
I like
take
that.
gold. Silver is probably undervalued right now, so.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, I thought there was.
Yeah, Commissioner Wandale.
No, I think Meredith and.
Actually, I think we were both trying to make the motion, and I made the motion with the.
Okay. Yeah, I got it, Meade and Meredith, that's correct. All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Okay, the next, I just am bringing up as an item to discuss. I included in the package a letter I received from a realtor, and then also the state of Tennessee. It was the Knox Realty Office Department on behalf of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security. And the state of Tennessee is currently seeking space in Anderson County for that agency. They need between 6,100 and 6,900 rentable square feet for the driver's license testing center and for state troopers. They need approximately 100 to 124 parking spaces. And ideally, they would like to sign a lease with a 10-year term and 3 one-year renewal options. And then I did reach out to them and request, what the proposal is, and so that is in your packet as well. And I'm only bringing this up, we are invested in the DARC, and I thought if you had an interest, I didn't want to, reach out to an architect and just go out alone on that. But if you have an interest, we could take a first blush look. I know there's the gymnasium side, there's the side where Emory Valley Center vacated, and I just mentioned it to Roger. He does believe there's probably enough space in there. It would take some renovation, but I don't know what they're paying per square foot. I can definitely get that and find out what they are and what their interest is. But if you would like me to take a look, I'm happy to do that and report back. I'm not talking about a drawing or anything like that, but would it work? Is it feasible? Is it something worth considering? And I'm happy to do that if you have an interest in it.
Well, I think we should go ahead and pursue that. I don't know if that takes a motion or just a statement from this committee that we think we should move ahead. Probably would need to ask commission if they want us to continue on that route. But I think that if we could get a long-term paying customer to occupy that building, that would be good for the county. And it would be certainly a convenience for the, I know the office they have now is tiny
Yeah.
over there on the turnpike. And it's hidden if you don't know where the real entrance is.
Yeah.
Commissioner Ray.
Chair. Andy and I are working on that as well.
Oh, okay.
They're also, so I passed it off to him. We've showed him a couple of spots. It's, the parking's the issue.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'll ask Andy to call you because
Okay.
he's
Yeah,
been handling the sending a few proposals.
Sure.
yeah. Yeah, the only thing I think might be a limit over there as far as the usability by the state is the enough parking.
Yeah, it's
Because it would be one thing if it was the only building there and that parking was there. But you've got the county clerk's office and the court and everything there,
Yeah.
in that building, so.
There is, and that's something we could just take a first blush look at, because there is considerable parking there, but then there's also room, I mean, if it's a good enough lease with, a good enough price for that
Yeah,
length of time.
add parking lot.
You can add parking, I mean, we definitely have space on that back side to do a bank of parking for the employees only, for instance. So it is a way to maintain the investment without, just constantly dipping into our reserves in order to do a new roof or air or whatever. So, but it may not work out. I don't want to make any promises, but it might be worth a look.
So do we need a motion? I make a motion to have the mayor pursue whether or not that's a possible matchup.
Well, I think she's gonna talk with Andy too tomorrow,
Yeah.
so,
multiple possibilities.
yeah, multiple possibilities.
I like a motion just because it authorizes me and no
Yeah.
one says, Mayor, what are you doing?
And it's certainly
I like to
a
have
state
your-
service that's
your-
important to the county.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got a motion by Commissioner Meade, seconded by Commissioner McCamey, for the mayor to pursue this and other options, along with Andy from the, yeah.
And I would think that just pursuing the possibilities doesn't require waiting until after the commission meeting.
Right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Mayor, I'll work with you on this because I'm kind of the
Yeah, go ahead.
Daniel Arthur Building guy, so I'd really love to do something like this in that building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're the,
I was just in there today, as a matter of fact, so,
you're the father of EARC, so I will make sure that
yeah.
he knows every inch of that space,
Yeah.
and somehow he kind of became, I guess because it's in your district.
It is indeed, yeah.
So I will let you know.
Okay, good,
Commissioner Yeager,
good.
and we'll make sure you're there. The next, really, that's all the action items I do have. I did put on there an update for you, the planned allocation from the state of Tennessee. Ours was, the governor, I think, had that original $200 million amount in there. The legislature did, they knew a lot of COVID funds were coming down, so they did cut that in half. But Anderson County is still going to receive $602,000. I put that in your agenda packet just as an update. There are no limitations on it, however, so where in the past, they do want it for one-time expenditures, but there are not a lot of strings attached to it. And then I'll also put in your agenda packet what each of the municipalities are receiving so that you can see that. Clinton's getting $125,000, Rocky Top $34,000. You can see all of that in your agenda packet. Then I just put a list of items on there if you want updates on any of those. I don't want to just, talk your heads off. But I have flagpoles, Veteran Bridge on there, the senior center. I do want to say that we did get that finished. We've got some contracts that went through purchasing for the security, for the fire. Once those get approved, we'll get that completed. And we did not have to, I had it in my stack here. For the construction, good news, we did, our original contract was $153,996. We did not have to touch any contingency, which is a good thing. So the final amount came in at $145,730, so $82,66. So I did want to report on that because that's with all the pressure on building prices, we got lucky on that one.
Not often we come in under budget.
And then if you want to, any of those items on the list, if you want to talk about, I'm happy to talk about.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Wandell?
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeager.
All right, I just, today was the first day I've seen the single entry work being done since I'm not in very often, so that room looks huge, which is really nice,
Yes.
as opposed to the drawing, it's hard to tell. And then the room next to Annette, that's progressing well too. So just a short update on those, on what you know?
Yes, and I can't believe I left this downstairs with all the junk I just brought up, but we have on that contract, it is a 90-day contract from the moment we delivered the notice to proceed. It's 90 days. If they go beyond the contract, it's $1,000 a day. So they're working at a very brisk pace. My recollection, just from the contract, was July 19th. It's the complete finish. They're out of here. Everything's done. We have the keys to the new entrance, and we can celebrate. I believe their timeline is they're actually looking for July 16th, but I think they're going to be, unless they run into some kind of issue, I think they're going to be done quicker than that. We did meet with the city of Clinton. They wanted to, when we had our pre-construction meeting, they wanted to meet with the contractors to discuss the reconfiguration of our ADA parking spaces. So we had them at the pre-construction meeting. Once our meeting was over, we went outside with the contractor, with the architect, with City of Clinton. And as we were out there, Clinton had been doing some measuring. The slope on this particular sidewalk was a little bit higher. So we came up with a plan to put all of the ADA spaces on the back of the building. And so that's where they will be, and we're gonna add a T. We did have one change order already, and it just increased. I think it was, Roger handled this out of his building budget. It was like an additional $5,600 or $6,200, I can't remember the exact number on that. That's the only thing that we've done, so it's just going to make it easier and more accessible for those who need disability services. And then they'll be taking out, the previous signs, and all of those, that's all gonna be resealed, resurfaced, and repainted in terms of the parking. ADA did sign off on all of that as well. So it's going very, very well. They have not encountered any issues other than if they're, I guess, issues for Annette or the mayor or purchasing are, but if the court's in session and it's too noisy, then they have been great to work with. We just say no, and Roger goes in and tells them turn it off, and but they've got an action plan, so they don't stand around, they don't leave. They've got like a work list, so yeah, they've done. We've been very happy with them.
Jackhammers have a way of being loud.
Yeah, it's a new company we've never worked with before. They were the low bid, Skilled Services LLC. Apparently, they do a lot of projects for the Knox County school system, smaller projects, not new building construction, so.
Just one follow-up on the ADA parking. Are they going to have all of the spaces in, that's the back side of the building?
The judges will have the far end,
Okay,
and then the ADA will be on this end. And there's one that's really not a true ADA space according to slope or any kind
Yeah,
of
okay.
configuration, but we do have it marked ADA, and we're gonna keep it that way, just as an extra space.
how many, is that like 15 spaces?
we'll have-
What is it?
5, we're required, I believe, to have 4.
Oh, is that all? Wow,
I can't remember, Louise is the
yeah,
expert on this. I think she said 4 would be the requirement, but we're doing 5, and then we'll have that extra backup.
okay, thanks.
Commissioner Wendell, do you want to speak?
Well, I was just listening to the conversation, I think I forgot what I was gonna ask, but I just wanna, I'm sure this will be done, but since that's gonna be the primary point of entrance, right, going forward?
Yes.
Hopefully we'll be able to get a In God We Trust sign over that one too, if we could. I think that would be
Good point.
appropriate.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I
Commissioner
did
Rea?
talk to the architect too, and I know we're going to have the canopy in the sidewalk that's going to be a good indicator to citizens that that's where our entrance is. But as many people who have complained about one entrance, I did share with the architect that we need some ideas, that we need better signage, we need a way to really communicate to those that come visit the courthouse that that is the entrance. So we're gonna try to come up with something to bring to you all to make a decision.
Commissioner Mead?
Yeah, all I want to ask about is the senior center. What does it look like as far as really getting back to using it? I think we've got a significant portion of the population that uses that now been vaccinated and stuff like that. Have we got a plan for really kind of getting things rolling again? At
We
least
did
the startup?
proceed with a soft opening on, what was last Monday? Was it May
Oh, okay.
3rd?
Yeah,
Yes, so when I say soft opening, we didn't do a big announcement or ribbon cutting or big promotion because we just kind of we didn't want,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, that vulnerable population to all flock in.
Let it
you know,
ramp up,
200.
not suddenly
So,
fill up.
yes. So folks are coming back, stopping in, and a lot of them are vaccinated. But
Are they
yeah.
doing temperatures or anything?
I do not know if she's doing temperatures. I need to check
I
on that.
just,
I know she's
even
got
though
them.
I'm against a lot of screening for some of that stuff,
Yeah.
but I think the temperature is very non-invasive. And there are people that will just feel a little off and actually have a significant temperature and not realize that they actually have a problem.
Yeah.
And if you use a thing like 101 or something, if somebody has 101 or higher temperature, they need to at least figure out what their problem is.
I believe she is, Robert. I don't know, Commissioner McCamey, if you've been there. I know she has the equipment. Okay.
And masks are not mandatory.
They lifted everything.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be, I don't think.
Commissioner Wendell?
I remember where it was. Flagpoles, you mentioned it, any updates, Mayor, that you got there?
Yes, sir. So, we do have to have an agreement, an MOU, or a written agreement with TDOT. There is an entire process for using right-of-way or the median for the flagpoles. So what we have to have is, we have to have a plan with measurements, with a concept design, a drawing, everything from height, fall line, all of those things. Then if we are pre-approved, we can go to the next step for the full application. At that point, they may or may not require a stamped engineering drawing. So I would foresee if we did a good job on a concept plan, it's a flagpole, they're gonna wanna know how are we, are we pouring concrete, what are we doing there to get the pole in? They do have the option of waiving that. I did take a budget amendment request. We had a small amount of funds from the governor's last grant, and I did take that through budget committee, and it passed unanimously, Commissioner Wandell.
Okay.
So we'll, as soon as that passes full commission, we're gonna get that concept drawing going and go through that approval process. The city of Clinton is the owner of the right-of-way, but I did reach out to them. They are fine with it, and they said they are happy to do whatever they needed to do, if they needed to sign a letter or do an agreement, and then the county will take responsibility for maintenance, lowering the flag, and we can do that in partnership with the American Legion or
Right.
whatever.
They're happy to provide the flags.
Yes,
So thank you, that's in progress.
yes.
Thank you for your help. Wanted to ask about Wolf Valley Convenience, well, did you have any other updates on Wolf Valley Convenience Center?
Yes, we've already had a couple meetings. The chairman of Solid Waste Board, Commissioner McCamey, we met with the engineer, Jeff Trabalka, and the engineers team. Jeff presented a concept design. The engineers came back with a couple of different drafts. Jeff and I met with them again with those drafts to kind of troubleshoot, point out things that they might have missed. They're going to come back with, hopefully this week, with some, I guess, drafts in a form that we can present to you all on Solid Waste Board to look at and, you know, distribute to full commission to get your input and see, are there things that we haven't considered? What could we do better? Do you all like it? And then we'll go from there.
You'll have that Monday at our commission meeting.
Okay, great.
Yes.
While we're on the convenience center, I know you sent an email, so did Jeff Travaka. I think Robert might have been involved, but we got that email from a gentleman that the center was shut down for a period of time. I think it was last Thursday, I can't remember. But it's being addressed, and the reason was, do I need to make a motion to go back to removing the recycle bin, or is that one of the problems? Is that the way I interpreted it?
Yes, and I would, I actually did put that on my notes, that if you would like us to remove that box again, just to handle the overflow during this peak type period again for, I think, what, 2 months or 3 months we took it out of there
Right.
last year, so.
So it's back now, I guess?
Yeah, the recycling box, so we can take it back out and.
I'll defer to Chairman of Solid Waste, just, I mean, if that's something that would help, I'd certainly support it. I don't want to put the spot on him, but I think the people in the district would certainly like to be able to unload their garbage. I'm sure they want to recycle too, but if they have to pick one or the other, I think they're going to want to at least for sure get the trash off.
Yeah, we got a lot of complaints by not having recycling. And people having to drive all the way to Green Valley or, Glen Alpine, which is up on 441 now, to do recycling. We got more, I got more complaints about not doing recycling than I did about, you know, the garbage being shut down. I would like to defer to Jeff Travaka and let him, we could authorize him to do that, subject to his approval, you know, if he thinks that'll work. But I know it's the busiest center that we have, and it happens to be the smallest center.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Is there anything we can do when, you know, we know it's going to get, it's full? That
we never
can-
know. We emptied, according to his email, that there was a full container there, on Saturday morning, and it got full by noon, you know, and we had 6 hours to go, but that one container was completely full. And they closed at noon at the landfill, so they can't actually take it and dump it and bring it back. And they close at 4:30 in the afternoon during the week. So we can't have them coming in, you know, between 4:30 and 6. We're open till 6 of the evening at all the convenience centers. But to get them actually hauled out and a new one put in and that one empty, we just, you know,
So it was just shut down for a few hours, or?
yeah, it was about an hour and a half they were shut down.
Oh, okay.
But, and they had taken the one to empty it, and bring it back, but it took them like an hour and a half to get it up there and bring it back. But like I said, it filled up before noon and it was totally empty. And, you know, we got what size is that?
Just one of those situations.
30-yard container,
7 tons.
7 tons. Yeah, but the one thing I've noticed at Green Valley is the pressure is cut down by 1,000 pounds from what it's supposed to be. Now, if they cut the pressure back to 1,200, it's gonna show full at 1,200, and the thing's only 2/3 of the way full. So bear in mind with that, that could be an issue, but I've noticed that at Green Valley. Every time I've been down there, the pressure's been cut back down. So,
But like I said, by noon, and, you know, we opened at 7, and by noon it was full. So, and all we could do was call them, have them take it and empty it, and it takes about an hour and a half to go from there up to Chesapeake Ridge landfill and then back. So that's why we shut down for an hour and a half.
All right, so, do they put signs out when they're full, and they
Yeah.
just say closed, or do they say come back an hour, or what do they
They
say?
just say closed, because they never know when they're actually gonna be back. But the attendant usually tells them, they've gone to empty it, as soon as they bring it back, we'll open it back up, you know. And we do have an open top that it's basically for large items, furniture, and we go ahead and use that for regular garbage also, while they are gone, if somebody wants to use it, but it's, you know, it's a big 30-yard container and it's pretty high, so it's kind of hard to lift your stuff over there, and it's not compacted, so it don't take long to fill it up either. But we did allow them to use that while they were going to empty this container.
Well,
But we
the
won't
good
have
news,
that problem in a little while.
the good news is we got a new place coming, that's gonna alleviate a lot of that. When you get any information, Commissioner McCamey, I'd like to, you share it with me, I'd like the drafts and stuff,
Yeah.
I'd just like to look at it, if you don't mind. I know you're gonna give it to us Monday, but if you get it any sooner, send it over to.
I made him promise he would have it to me before the 17th. Commission meeting, and I'd like to have something to show the commission. He said, we'll have you something before the 17th.
Only other thing I had for the mayor, Mr. Chairman, is Pine Meadows subdivision. I guess that's the same thing as Ben's Mobile Home Park.
Yes, yes.
It was, back when I was younger, it was Ben, or Pine Meadows, and I guess I've reverted back to Ben, so, the proper name, I guess, is Pine Meadows. You got any updates there?
I kind of did that for myself because my file says Ben's and I say Ben's, but I have people reach out about Pine Meadows and I'm like, where's Pine Meadows? So.
I did the same thing and I lived there.
Yes, I didn't realize, I mean, it took me this many years to realize that it was organized as a subdivision, so,
It was.
yeah, I
Was
mean.
it supposed to be a retirement community or something initially?
Dave,
Yeah,
Well, that's a form of subdivision, I think.
and so, yeah, so that's part of, I did find a company, I'm supposed to get a proposal. I thought I might have it by today, but I did not get it. I reached out and discussed this with Jay as well. A civil engineer and environmental firm, and they have done similar projects in Sevier County where they have just basically unraveled and given action lists and done an assessment. They did, one of the folks from the firm went over and did look around and was going to do a group meeting with all the folks at their firm. And either they're going to send a proposal, or if they cannot help us, then they are going to connect me with some individuals or firms that can. But they did believe that they could help. And so, anyhow, as soon as I have that, I'll be sharing that
Thank you.
with you all.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mayor.
And if you do, I mean, if you want to I mean, Jeff can do pretty quick turnaround on those boxes. We don't have to do it for a full month. You know, you could give him that authorization to take the recycling out. So for instance, right now, he is seeing a big spike in trash at all the centers.
Right.
So, I mean, you could give him that authorization to take it out if he's seeing that kind of increase, and then we can turn around and tell him, hey, switch it out, and we're gonna bring the recycling back. It's not
Well,
super difficult.
Sounds like it was just a one-time situation. I haven't had a lot of complaints in the last few months, but this one came in, and I guess the individual felt that the center was shut down for the day. I didn't really have a one-on-one conversation with him, but if it was a situation where, I just felt there probably wasn't a driver available or something happened maybe on the Waste Connection side, but, if, I don't wanna, you know, if we got a recycling container in there, Robert's right, there's been several that have contacted me too on the other side that want recycling, so I don't wanna do anything that upsets what they're doing, cause I've had no complaints, and I don't wanna, you know, fix an hour and a half complaint and then so why don't we just leave it as is for now, and I'm sure Robert can come Monday and say, hey, commission, I need your support, if we need to go back, we have to do that. But I appreciate what you guys are doing. We'll have a new one soon. That's good.
4 compact.
4 compact.
Anything else? I did send out an email for the American Rescue Funds or American Rescue Act. That guidance did come out this afternoon. And I know from the finance level, Commissioner Yeager moved forward with a request for a workshop, and you all authorized that last month. So I think he's working with Robbie on setting a date for that workshop on those funds. And then a couple of other things. I'm going to be coming back to you. I'm doing a little groundwork right now. A CDBG, the last water line extension project we got for Buchanan Lane, Savage Garden Road, Faust Lane, Collins Gap Road, Judson Road, and Hines Creek Road. The cost on this has just skyrocketed, so I met with Randy Walters in finance, the water, Larry Clowers, the folks from the Water Authority. We've done some outreach to Hallsdale Powell, because part of that area is actually covered by Hallsdale, and we're seeing maybe if they would have an interest, we could still do the grant side, but maybe they would be able to match some funds. But we're probably going to have to make a decision on that, whether to just pull the plug on that. Do we want to invest some more in that? But I'll be coming back to you with some specifics on that particular project.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Chairman Anderson.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in while we were talking about the convenience centers, and thank you for getting the TARP program organized, and I'm looking forward to being there Saturday, and if you wanted to make an announcement about that or anything.
Yes, we're going to be at the Glen Alpine Center from 9 to 1. Through the TDOT grant, we were able to purchase tarps with the TDOT logo. And there is actually a law about you're supposed to tarp your trash in the back, especially if you have loose trash. So we're going to do an educational outreach. Commissioner Anderson led the charge on this one as something to do, because 441 does get a lot of that blowout debris. So 9 to 1, if anyone wants to come and haul your trash off and get a tarp, we'll all be there. Unless it's raining, then we'll be there the next Saturday. And the last thing I have, just something that didn't get a lot of discussion, but it got a lot of discussion in the halls of the legislature. So the opiate settlement, the legislature did pass a bill. This will end up coming back to commission, and I think they're going to ask for sign off from each and every county in the state. But I did want you all to know that I was one of 5 county mayors that actually was on the negotiation team with the AG's office for that settlement. And so there were counties represented that were known as the litigating counties, so those are the ones that had filed suit on their own. And then I was on the side for the counties where we had not filed suit. And I do want you to know that thanks to our IT team and your support on the virtual meetings, we're one of the only counties really in this area that does that. But I did lead calls thanks to IT and setting up those go-to meetings. And we pushed for a better deal for local government. So the original plan was 15% for locals, 15% for the state, and 70% went into an abatement fund where the money would come down, but we were not guaranteed a slice of the pie, so to speak. Those funds would have been controlled by an independent organization, not by the legislature or even local government. And so I may have made some folks mad, but I was part of the effort to, I just want you to know, from Anderson County to increase that allocation. And we ended up with 40% for local government, 60% for the state. And we will receive 15% that will be unrestricted, so we can use that however we want. It can be to pay down debt on the jail or something if we wanted. I mean, whatever we wanted to do. And then the other will come in the form of a block grant on an annual basis, and it can be spent on any kind of abatement. And abatement covers a whole range of things. It can be, if we want to do programming, it could be buying an ambulance, anything. They have a really good list. The Attorney General's office did a great job on basically a 12-page document that really covers everything under the sun for abatement. So that will be coming back, but that legislation did pass. And so I'm proud of our county for being a leader on that. And East Tennessee the East Tennessee mayors really did a good job on that, reaching out to their legislators. And because at the end of the day, local government has really borne a huge weight of the cost when it comes to the opiate addiction issue. So, I mean, we see it in schools, we see it in law enforcement, our jails, all of that. So I think it ended up being a really good deal.
Yes.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
What's,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I saw one more here, the comprehensive parks plan. And by the way, speaking of opioids and stuff, I'm hoping that since we're getting back to meeting in person, that we can hear more from ASAP. You know, I miss that. ASAP's
Yeah.
A big support mechanism for our youth here, and I want, hopefully we can get that. You know, I miss seeing them come and having an impact and getting back into the schools. I'm not saying they're not.
Right.
I just want to see that get started back again, because I think that helped a lot of young kids not go down the path with no return. So I hope we can get back to that. So my question was, comprehensive parks plan you had listed here. What was that about?
So what we're working on with that is we had our kickoff meeting, and we're working with a design firm. They're basically coming in and they're doing, so each, Oak Ridge is doing their own, or has done their own thing. They're going to meet up with us at the end, and speaking with Mark Watson, they're going to determine what they want to insert in the plan. So what we'll have is a comprehensive plan for the whole county, and then each municipality will have their own plan. Part of the main reason for this is that anymore TDEC requires a plan, a 5 and 10-year plan, if you're going to receive any kind of grant funding for your projects. And so this gives everyone their own plan. They provide just kind of the addresses of the assets, and then they come do an on-site inspection. They do a report on what we have in terms of assets. Then they do a lot of stakeholder meetings, interviews. They'll be meeting with you as commissioners. They find out what you want. They'll meet with the chamber. They'll meet with the schools. They'll meet with rec leagues. Then they'll do surveys, both online, they'll go sit up at Walmart, they'll go to a ball field. What do you all want to see as a community? Do we need Frisbee golf? Do we need better ball fields? They ask all of those things, and then they come back to us with a comprehensive plan, and then also that assessment of what your community would like to see. So it's basically a tool that can be used as your next step, an action item.
Mr. Chairman, while we're on parks, I'd like to thank Chairman Anderson and the Conservation Board for fixing the playground out there in Claxton. Had a couple calls on that. I appreciate him and the board getting on top of it. I just want to say thank you.
I think they're all doing a great job, you know, even in the midst of COVID, still getting things done. Mayor, I think you had a number 7 there.
Yes, this was just a wild hair idea. Sometimes you just gotta throw it out there. So in July, we've just passed a budget. We really don't have any budget agenda items in July. And I just wanted to throw out the idea of maybe we make an effort to just not have meetings in July, not to give us all a vacation, but for instance, like my work, I'm just gonna use me as an example, and it's the same for finance and many other departments. We get through the commission meeting, and then the days after the commission meeting, we're doing all the work that it requires to, after you've authorized contracts and expenditures and changes. And then there's really just 1 week where we're kind of free and clear to get a lot of heavy work done on projects, and then the process starts back over. And so I just was throwing it out as an idea. And maybe you might like a break in July.
Commissioner.
The other thing that I guess that isn't the budget due on August 1st? It seemed to take a break. I think that this would have to be contingent upon the budget having been approved.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And I would say that years that there are campaigns for county office, that would be an advantage to some, seems those all happen in early August.
Yeah.
But I'm just concerned that like this year, we may very well in July be voting, in fact, it looks like it's gonna probably be July, we'll be voting on our fireworks thing. I mean, there's just, it seems like that we don't really have a lull in the summer like school is out or something.
Right.
I don't know, we could think about that, but
Sure, I mean, I
I'm not
only-
convinced at this
yeah.
point. And I would certainly be opposed if it wasn't contingent upon the budget is at least on track, and there's no problem with having our budget in by August 1st.
Right. I just know, and really you know, I know the finance department closes out the books, and after June 30th, they start that wind down process, and we have come before, you know, with the idea of going back to some day meetings, because that does really, you know, help in some regards with folks staying afterwards. So it's not anything where I'm hurt if we don't do it, or my pride's offended or anything like that. I just thought I would throw it out there as an idea. I think the only requirement is that we have a quarterly meeting. And so I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
don't we have a special call meeting for the budget at the end of June?
In June.
And so if we could make that special call for the fireworks thing maybe and the budget, we could have.
Oh, yeah, because the status right now is, okay, that the bill before the legislature passed with no nays in the House and the Senate. Yeah, last Friday it was on the speaker's desk for signature, so it still has to be signed by the lieutenant governor and the governor before it comes back to us. As a result, I should have said it earlier, I'm probably gonna end up canceling the legislative committee meeting, because it would go through that, okay? And I can't imagine when this finally does come back to the governor, it's gonna be the first thing that's on his list. He'd have it done the end of next week, or by a week from now. And so I just can't imagine it would come back. And if it did by circumstance come back before the commission meeting, we could have a vote to bring it directly to commission for approval, you know, for a vote and skip the legislative committee meeting. Because it's kind of a special thing and it's not like it's a surprise to anybody.
Right.
And so that's
That's what I was saying, if we're gonna have a meeting at the end of June to address the budget, you know, just 3 weeks until we would have another meeting. And then, like I said, there's really nothing to do, there's no, you know, budget amendments or transfer of funds or anything like that. That is really impressive, so. Just be one less meeting for us.
Mr. Chairman,
As long as the budget's taken care of, I don't have any problem with it.
uh,
The other thing will work out, because I think it'll be voted on in the June meeting, regular June.
Robbie had requested June 7th for the special call,
I thought
Maybe.
that was,
to pass the budget.
I thought that
It was May 24th for the
public
hearing.
hearing, when's the public hearing? I
May
thought-
24th,
Oh,
yeah, and
I-
then meeting to pass it on June 7th. But would the purchasing department be okay from that June to August stretch? Or I'm thinking summertime with air conditioners and stuff going out or something. I know that's getting worked on with ESG, but I didn't know if any kind of emergency purchasing request would we need to.
I'm happy to reach out to all the departments and come back in June. And again, it could be something where you keep things on the calendar and maybe it's just a goal. Like if there's
Yeah.
not a lot of business, you just make the determination. I mean, I don't want to hold anybody back from getting work done. And I think in Anderson County, we're 76,000. We do have a lot of business. We have a lot of activities, a lot of departments. But if, I mean, maybe if we message it even for next year or the year after, you know, you give people the heads up that, hey, this is what we're gonna do and it's an opportunity, you better have your act together. You know, get it in June if you wanna get it in. So, it's just something to think about.
Does anybody else do that you've heard of?
I know, gosh, like McMinn County, I don't even know that they, on budget amendments, I was talking to, years ago, Natalie and I went down there to talk about their debt program and how they got out of debt. It took 20 years, but they put in place a plan. And I think they'd only done like a handful of budget amendments in a whole year. How are you doing that? So I guess it's just, you know, maybe discipline, or they set up a plan and you just kind of march towards that, so.
Several commissions meet quarterly.
Oh, do they?
Meigs County, I know is one.
I mean, it seems hard, but if you had the expectation, then all of us would do a better job of getting our act together. Make sure
You get
we-
used to anything eventually.
That's true.
Yeah.
Anything else? Next on the agenda would have been the American Legion of Alder Springs, and they're gonna come back next month, but what they're asking is for some help with funding from the, and I know it should, you know, probably should go to the Budget Committee, but I think they want to try to get in front of both committees to, you know, talk about how dire a situation that they're having. The next is redistricting a portion of Anderson County. Move House District 36 back into House District 33. Chairman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know we're not quite to the redistricting yet at the county level, and this, what I'm asking for this is done by the state legislature, but I've talked to Lieutenant Governor McNally about this, and he prefers for counties to all be in the same district, but in 2010, our county had in District 3, and I guess part of District 1 too, maybe, everything above the interstate is in District 36,
Yes.
which is mostly Campbell County and a portion of Union County. And a lot of people in Norris and Andersonville have reached out to Commissioner Waddell and I, and would really like to be moved into District 33. they feel like they get a little bit better representation from Representative Reagan. I know the legislature's out of session right now, but if there's any way I don't know if we'll need a resolution or just a letter or something. If there's any way we can just,
Do a resolution.
okay, just make a resolution to ask the state, ask Speaker Sexton and their redistricting committee to consider moving the portion of Anderson County in District 36 into District 33. And I'd like to make the motion that we do that.
Okay, got a motion, I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Yeager, discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, I've already talked with Reagan about this, okay, Rep. Reagan. And here's what the problem is. Depending upon the final data from the Census Bureau, okay, for the whole state, it's gonna end up that a district is gonna have about 62,000 people, plus or minus 5%. Okay, so if you put that area try to put it back with District 33, it would exceed the numbers allowed under the law for a district. And so there might be some way that some little portion of that can be done, but there's no way that entire area, it has too much population. And so it would violate state and federal law to put that many people in a single district. And so there might be some way to do part of it, but he says there is no way that they can legally just add that to make the county one district, because our county's about 76,000, roughly, right? I haven't seen, I don't think we even have the new census data yet, so it might even be a little more than that. But right now in Tennessee, a district is going to be about, the number I remember, it might be off by a few hundred, it'd be like 62,000. And it can't, from across the whole state, it can't vary by more than a certain percentage from across all those. And so that, I mean, we can pursue looking at it, but the law on that is pretty strict. I remember when we redistricted last time, there were issues just within our districts because they had to be plus or minus 5% of the mean of all of them. And I know in my district, I got one whole area chopped off and a whole bunch of little areas added on that go off in funny shapes and sizes. You know, one side of the street, not the other side of the street, and right down through residential areas. So sometimes they end up being a little strange, but we have to work with the stuff the Census Bureau blocks that they give us. Is what you got to work with. And the numbers of how many, the population, not the number of voters, the population of it has to be within certain very small boundaries to be one district, so it could be a problem.
I understand about the population limits, and I'd still like to pursue it, even if we can move a smaller, a portion of it. Or I'd at least like the legislature to kind of take a look and look at, if they do have to break up a county, break it into larger pieces.
Yeah.
I feel like District 36 is, they kind of just took what they needed from two counties to get the Campbell County population up maybe
Yeah.
60-some thousand, and so there's two minority groups almost, it seems like, as far as they don't really get enough representation. So maybe even if more of Anderson County moved to 36, that might give them a little more weight or something like that, but I would like them to.
Well, I think it's interesting that we have an early voting place in Andersonville.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's actually in a different district than where it's located.
Right. And it's caused some confusion with people because County Commission District 3 has two different state representatives, and sometimes there've been issues where the ballot, like people voted Glen Alpine, the ballot's got the wrong state house district on it, and they usually get that corrected, but it does cause some issues.
Well, it shows that you're doing the wishes of your constituents too, that, to try to make an effort. So we had a motion by Commissioner Anderson. Who was the second?
I did that.
Oh, yeah, Commissioner Yeager. Any other discussion?
There'll be a special session in the fall for redistricting. That's how that'll be
All in favor?
done. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. The next was Ben's Mobile Home Park update.
Good there.
Okay.
That's covered under Pine Meadows subdivision.
Yeah.
Then next, under new business, you want to go ahead and take up the Justice Center first, the need for that?
Well, yeah, I'd like this operations committee to appoint a subcommittee, to look at possibly building a justice center. I think monies can be saved that we're actually spending on a daily basis to transport prisoners from the jail, and if it will build up there, you know, we could save a ton of money. And it's something that's needed. We don't have enough room in the courthouse. There's not enough parking around the courthouse. But it would free up some office space here in the courthouse if we could do that. And I'd make a motion that you as chairman appoint a subcommittee. And I'd like to see Commissioner Bell and Rex Lynch be on that committee. I think we need input from both of those. But I would like to see, I think, you know, building materials, everybody's talking about building materials and the cost of building materials. It's not gonna get any cheaper. You know, the longer we wait, the more it's gonna cost if we ever do it. And I think eventually we're gonna have to do something. We don't have enough space. But I just, you know, a subcommittee to look at it and you know, do some brainstorming and see what we need. Some of the judges to assist, but just a committee, a subcommittee, just to look at possibilities.
It'd probably be a year before from what I see, the cost of steel and lumber coming back down, and then a lot of the lumber's got to do with the wildfires that we've had too.
Right.
We've got a motion, we have a second.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner or Chairman Anderson. Any other discussion? Mayor?
Well, Commissioner McCamey may not know this, but I actually put on the Budget Committee a request for programming, which would be an interview of all the clerks, the judges, the sheriff's department. That's actually the technical programming side. It doesn't produce a drawing, it doesn't produce, all it does is do a programming. It's your actual first step in the need. And so that actually passed Budget Committee unanimously to do that. So I didn't talk to anyone about that. Over time I have.
Yeah.
So I knew it was an interest, but I just plopped it on there, kind of like the commission intermission, and it passed. So it will be coming to you in this meeting.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, and I did, what I did is I talked to the architect, which I like to spread architectural business around myself from the mayor's office and use, you know, Michael Brady, or we've used Studio 4 Design, Bill Blankenship. On this particular project, Blankenship and Partners is a really top-tier design firm, so they have done work for Tennessee School for the Deaf, for the University of Tennessee, McGee Tyson Airport, and just as an example, this is their, these are the design documents for the single entry, which doesn't seem that complex, but they literally cover everything from the type of material you will use to the board. It will be this quality. And so what I reached out to Bill and said was, you know, I think I'm just gonna try this, Bill, and bring this up. Give me a couple of proposals, one which would be a full design, and then one is just programming only, because you know, I don't know if commission wants to have a full commitment to it. So what I took to the budget committee, and it was in the agenda packet, and I did bring up the, so this request is to set aside funds for programming for Justice Center. Architectural programming looks at the space needs of the courts and the departments such as the sheriff's department, clerks of court, et cetera. You know, left undecided would be, I mean, the district attorney general believes we need this. Undecided would be like if Jay would want to go there or not, who would want to go there? Would you want a commission room there with parking? But anyhow, the programming, what that, I mean, it's not just an interview. You're actually breaking down what desk do you need? Yes. What do you have? Do you need a vault? You know, it looks at everything and all the space measurements. It reviews the departments for room by room technical needs or requirements, looks at all the functional issues, looks at engineering criteria. Then programming results in a comprehensive summary of space and the technical needs that would be presented to the legislative body for next steps. Once a full programming summary is complete, commission could choose to take the next steps of reviewing summary and authorizing the locations of the departments that they choose to locate in the Justice Center, authorize or adjust the space needs of each department. So, for instance, if a department wants a workout center, maybe they want a workout center, but maybe commission doesn't want a workout center, and you don't want to pay for that cost. I mean, that's just an example of what I mean by the choices. And then you could, if you wanted, move to the schematic design process that would produce a concept design. The Justice Center can maximize efficiency, consolidate operations for safety and security, and streamline services for taxpayers with a goal of reducing operational and maintenance costs. And that's what I presented to Budget Committee. And I'm happy to answer. None of this is a done deal. Again, it doesn't produce any architectural drawings. It would just present to you, here's how much square footage they're asking for, here's how much they say you need, and you would get a binder. So for instance, and if this is something that interests you, I can bring Bill with his binder as an example. So what the stakeholders are presented at Tennessee School for the Deaf is, here's the programming, here's the classrooms, and you all have that document in your hands to make those decisions. And I really just kind of myself decided to bring this to budget when I received a request from someone who was co-located next to the old, it's actually been evidence storage there, that older building. We had a CAC building there that the county demolished, and they wanted us to pave that whole parking lot. And that is something that I would love to just, you know, consolidate and offload some of that and let a bank or an office building or someone else with all that's going on down here, you know, with the streets, you know, I just thought maybe it's time, and if I get shot down, I get shot down. But it passed, but it still has to pass full commission. So, anyhow.
So we still need a committee or do that?
Well,
Seems like you would do that and then do the committee.
yeah, but if you had a committee to present this to, and then let them, you know, tweak it from there, but
Either way.
I would think that we would need a committee instead of just, you know,
Right.
giving it to every commissioner. You need somebody to look at it, and like I said, I think, we definitely need, Commissioner Val and Rex, his office will play a big part in it. We're gonna need quite a bit of space, you know, in the Justice Center. So that would be two that I would recommend, but, just the idea of having a committee to look at it and bring it back to us as the operations committee, just a subcommittee of the operations committee.
Sure. They will be, now they're not gonna come to, and I will share with you, I mean, they're not going to, come with the mayor's office and the clerk's office. I mean, this is a justice center, so that's all that I am going, you know, if this ends up passing, that would be all I'm asking, you know, Bill to look at. Winnie, I think her office is, she's next to you, isn't she?
Yes,
So she would, you know, anything legal or related where there's security issues, anything law enforcement related. It's not like a moving the whole courthouse to the Justice Center.
So all the presentations actually be done to budget committee, and whoever's on the subcommittee can show up for that budget committee.
Well, I think on such a major endeavor, I'm personally happy to work with any committee, but it will need to be a full commission decision on something,
Exactly.
because it's a lot of funds and a lot of major operations. So I'm happy to work with the committee for, you know, updates or whatever, or input. But what the architects are gonna be doing is sitting down and saying, you know, where do you have your radios? Where do you have your security cameras? What's the quality you want of the security cameras? How many, and they literally will, you're going to have a full programming report. And then you all would have the opportunity to, that's just ridiculous. We're not doing that for them. You know, I know they want it, but we're not gonna do that. Now, you know, you've got to do that on the front end before you invest in the actual architectural drawings.
Well, that's why I said a subcommittee can sort of go over it and then make a recommendation
Sure.
to the full commission or operations committee, and then from there on to the full commission.
Absolutely, that sounds great.
Just a working committee, I mean, it's gonna be some work involved. Anybody wants to serve on that committee, there's gonna be work involved, but it's something we talked about 20 years ago. And elected not to do it at that time. And I just think it's time, you know, look at it again.
Have a motion second, any other discussion?
One clarification for me. So, Mayor, what's happened is you put the request already on the budget committee for, I mean, and I'm not, I mean, because Tammy has a motion to form this committee for a justice center, and then what I'm hearing you say is that you've already had something in motion for that. Is that,
Yes, and
and that's coming to
I
us
mean, you
Monday?
can,
That's coming to us
you can
Monday to
ask a
vote on?
commissioner that was at the meeting. I mean, I had people go, you just dropped the bomb on everybody. What are you doing? You didn't tell, and, but it's something that I know, especially as we've been working on the single entrance, it's just a desire, you know, make this building the administration building where people come, get their tags and file their deeds and get a milkshake at Hoskins, and then you know, in this day and age, just, you put the courts in a better position, you put them all together. But what I took was what I requested from Bill were a couple of proposals, but I took the one that's programming only. And so what he would be doing, it's not just the cost of him sitting down with his staff and getting the programming needs of every department. It also involves him consulting with basic structural engineer, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, civil engineer, furniture and fixture and equipment, acoustic engineering. It includes all of that as part of the plan.
And that's fine, I'm just trying to understand, I mean, I guess where I'm at a loss, and I don't have a problem with it, and Commissioner McCamey's right, and many of us sit up here for a while now, we've been through this process before about a justice center and all that, and I think it's got some merit, but how you fund it and all those kinds of
Right.
funds things is a whole nother, discussion, but I guess what I want to say, Mr. Chairman, you know, I'd like for us to have structure. We've had structure, and I want to continue to see the structure. So, you know, we have a chairman. I want the chairman involved, and I'm not saying he has to be the guy that approves everything, but I think whoever the chairman is for commission needs to be engaged with the mayor on these kinds of decisions. Same thing with the July recess. I don't really have a problem with the July recess. I think people can misconstrue that as everybody's taking July off. Well, that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is no meetings or may be necessary, but, so I guess what I'm saying is I'd like for the mayor, because the mayor did this when I was chairman, and it really helped me out when you would approach me and give me a heads up, hey, I'm kind of thinking this kind of, it wasn't an agreement that we, oh yeah, we'll do this, and, but it gave me a heads up so I could talk to the commission and, understand what communication is all it is. So I just would appreciate, if we're gonna move forward with this idea of Commissioner McCamey, I'd like to see the chairman on there if he has time to attend it, or let him appoint some people as well, working with you, Mr. Chairman of the operations. That's all I have there. So I'm ready to vote.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. The next thing is that Dr. Bunick, Elaine Bunick from Oak Ridge, I think everybody knows her, and Catherine Denenberg, they've been working together on several different issues. And Dr. Bunick asked for this to be put onto operations, and she asked if we could do it under new business because she feels that it's a big need. And this is something that she sent out herself. And what she's asking is for pandemic preparedness planning. I think Commissioner Mead's got some good ideas on this thing. But we kindly got, of course, the whole world got caught, in a unique situation there. And I think China held us up on quite a few things. And she could tell you some real good stories on that stuff. But just for the people home, what she had wrote is Dr. Anthony Fauci, CDC, stated they has served 7 presidents, but in spite of his recommendations to form a pandemic preparedness plan and protocol for the U.S., none has been developed. In Anderson County, Brian Schroeder stated that the ACMS quickly ran out of their PPE equipment, gloves, face shields, N95 fitted masks, disposable mask syringes with needles. Orders were not filled due to lack of supplies in warehouses as shipments from China were delayed. Many supplies were preferentially sent to larger metropolitan areas with higher COVID-19 infection rates. Now that's what she talked about Saturday is how Anderson County is a rural community as a whole. Even our local hospital, Methodist Medical Center of Oak Ridge, ran out of supplies and asked for community help. ACMS triage bus is a very old converted old school bus. An updated bus would facilitate triaging larger groups of people in a more efficient manner. Although the Tennessee Department of Health has a volunteer form online from 2014, the county officials are not aware of how many are on this list and what type of services they can render. Nurses, EMTs, MDs, pharmacists, etc. It is not known how frequently this list is updated. No one is aware of a dedicated pandemic implementation team or protocol. Rural communities got their vaccines after metropolitan areas received theirs. Medical supplies were on a distribution plan to give them to the areas most in need. In Anderson County, volunteers made protective helmets for first responders, face shields, cloth masks with and without filters, PPE gowns, head coverings, PPE kits, and collected supplies of hand sanitizer, disinfectant solutions, wipe, after PPE supplies, those who could spare some. Number 2 is assess the insufficiencies and deficiencies of supplies and propose new estimations. Work in conjunction with the state of Tennessee Pandemic Preparedness Committee as more coronavirus pandemics are anticipated by CDC and WHO in the next 5 to 10 years. I think she spoke about probably 3 strains over the next 5 to 10 years. Improve the actual amounts of needed supplies and keep in temperature controlled storage to prevent mold, rot, disintegrate, or become unusable. And this is where Commissioner Yeager had an idea, and just reading through that. Consider a new updated triage bus for ACEMS, educate the community in personal preparedness, CPR, how to help in community during a pandemic, need for hygiene, distancing, masks, etc. Involve the community in getting prepared and give frequent updates and reminders. 8, consider medical equipment, gloves, making business, And that's what she was talking about Saturday, is actually trying to get somebody to come into the area that would make that, here in Anderson County. And that would be Commissioner Meredith there. Consider asking sewers to sew PPE waterproof gowns. I do have some more material, probably for another 5,000 to 10,000 gowns. This was prepared by Elaine M. Buick, MD, Rotary Club of Oak Ridge. Rotary Club of Oak Ridge has went above and beyond and lived up to what they do. So I think what she's asking is if we could probably put together a committee that could start planning for this, place to store it, like Commissioner Yeager was talking about, and Commissioner Meade was talking about, there's other things other than the pandemic, just like, the earthquake and the fault that we're on, if something happens. And
Yeah, I think it would be emergency management, not just pandemics. A pandemic is just one specific type of major, public emergency actions that have to be taken. But some years ago, I was involved with the Tennessee State Guard. In fact, I was the commander of 23 eastern counties in Tennessee. And we did exercises that happen every number of years, along with the National Guard and the National Guards and State Guards of all the surrounding counties around the New Madrid Fault. And one of the things that I discovered is they talked about what the implication that was, and all I can tell you is it's awful. We're talking about millions and millions of refugees coming out of that area, and major oil lines, pipelines, electrical distribution, all the bridges across the Mississippi from the Gulf almost to St. Louis. I mean, if we have one like we had in 1812, and it's kind of due again to happen, we're talking about a horrible disaster it's almost like nothing we've ever seen before. It makes other earthquakes that we've had in the United States look like nothing. Okay, but I asked the question, well, what would it take to respond to this? They said, well, there's not enough money to be ready for this. We just have to figure out what we're going to do when it happens. And so there are things that we can kind of count on that are going to happen. And there's a bunch of scientists right now who are saying that because of a whole bunch of things that are going on with the Earth and tectonic changes and all kinds of stuff, that the New Madrid Fault really is, between now and 2030, is expected to go off. And if it does, the last time it did, it literally rang church bells in Boston when that New Madrid Fault that goes right up the Mississippi River Valley separated, caused Reelfoot Lake and a whole bunch of things that weren't there before the earthquake. And so there are things we have to plan for, but there simply isn't enough money to plan for everything. So what we have to do is make sure that we plan as best we can with the resources we have available and have a plan for what we're going to do if certain things happen. The state has plans for those earthquakes. One of the things that came out during our big 7-state exercise is that there's only about 5 or 10% of the capability to respond that it would take to really be able to respond and cover all your numbers. There's a lot of things that people just can't take care of themselves. And so we have to encourage people to be ready for themselves, to take care of themselves. And like CPR, man, I think everybody should know CPR, but we can't make people do it. You can't make anybody even give CPR if they know how. If somebody is dying right in front of them, you can't force them. And so I think we need to look at this. We have to understand that there are limitations on what can be done. And right now, if you ask, is the federal or state governments ready to respond to a new pandemic? The answer is no. All they can guarantee is that they'll do the best they can with what they have at the time. Now, I think having a huge portion of our medicine and medical supplies coming from China, who I believe intentionally stopped shipments of those materials to the United States right when they knew the pandemic was breaking out. Hey, I mean, the fact of the matter is, when the United States has something that all of a sudden we need for our national defense or something, we have a tendency to hang on to them too. It's not that the Chinese did something necessarily that bad. Okay, but they did just what everybody would do, and the things they thought they were going to need, they hung on to. And so we just have to, maybe we need to plan the fact that some of these things need to be US made and actually manufactured in the US, so we can just up an existing capability, not have to create brand new capabilities. And so there are some things we maybe could do to have a little bit more control over that. And it sounds like they got the right people talking to one another. But the fact of the matter is, you can ask for all kinds of help from the state and federal government, and I'll tell you what, they're not gonna be able to say that they're ready to support this.
Well, I think
That's
maybe
just the truth.
if we got Steve Payne, maybe to come to this committee and, you know, talk with him, and, because I think to do anything, his organization needs to be involved. Or that, you know, it's just my personal idea.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to forward the pandemic preparedness planning brainstorming document to the Board of Health for Anderson County and let them digest it and let them make a recommendation and let them forward it to EMS or EMA or whoever and let them take it up. So that's my motion to forward.
I would also add that I'd be willing to talk like to John Reagan about it. What kind of plans is the state making now? Because they realized they weren't ready. You know, that would be a good thing to ask
We
too.
got some great members on the Board of Health in Anderson County and I think they'll put their heads together and
Yeah.
get us a plan in place.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Wandell, who made the second? Commissioner Meredith. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
What,
Go ahead.
did you have something else, Mr. Chairman, before I go?
No, that's it.
Thank you for that. That's good information. I like that. Didn't want to make light of it. It's good stuff there. I like the recommendation by Mr. Yeager there, Commissioner Yeager too. That's a good idea. Okay, quickly, I spoke with TBA. I also spoke with Gary Long. The Black Family Cemetery in Claxton, off of New Henderson, it's actually Blacks Ferry Road, on the back side of TBA property. There's a cemetery up on the hill that's, some say it's a county road, and, you know, it could be the county road, but I had a good conversation with Gary Long, and he agreed that he would rather not take it on, so TBA asked if our commission would allow, and of course the mayor too, to allow them to put up a gate. It's a gate at the entrance off of New Henderson, Blacks Ferry Road. And I also asked them, there's a drain tile that's become filled and clogged, and they would be willing to help with that too, to help the drainage, so the gentleman that owns the field up the hill there wouldn't lose any more property. So what I need is, if Mr. Chairman, is I'd like to make a motion to develop a resolution with Mr. Yeager to present to TVA a letter or a resolution that says we allow TVA to do these activities, put up the gate and put in a drain tile and fix the entrance there.
But I guess put up a gate, I wonder they're putting up a gate to keep people out of a cemetery? Or is it a gate that's decorative in nature?
No, it's just
Or-
the old-fashioned yellow gate. You might see at Y12 when you worked up there. It's got a lock on it. There's a parking area in front. They just don't want people driving down the road and then going into TVA property where there's another gate.
Oh, put in a gate to keep them off of TVA property?
Yes, right.
Oh, okay, I thought it was to keep them out of the cemetery.
No, there's already a gate. There's already a gate there, but it's, you know, it's pretty antiquated, and they're willing to put in a new gate, kind of fix it up and help out. And so if our body would say, yes, we would allow them to do that. Gary's okay with that. So that's, I'll make that resolution, your motion if somebody would support it.
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Wandell, second by Commissioner McCamey. Any other discussion?
That's the how Jay to.
Do a resolution.
Yes.
Just send me some bullet points.
Sure.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Mayor, do you have anything on that?
No, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Anything else to come to this committee under old business?
Wait, just curious on redistricting, when will that start taking place?
The last I heard, they were not gonna be releasing the information until September. And so there's going to be a lot of work that's gonna be required from your committee. You'll probably have to meet weekly, to get everything done. I mean, originally it was, I think, a May kickoff, and then it got pushed back, and now they're
July,
saying
and then,
September. Yes.
Mr. Chair? I remember the last time we did this, I was on commission when we did the last redistricting, and there's this very complicated software that I remember then we hired somebody to help us with it. It was an expert in that kind of software, because you get this software from the federal government, and it comes through the state, and they do their, then there's, between the state and the counties, the redistricting is happening. But it's all based upon these Census Bureau, census population blocks, and they're real funny because there'll be a whole bunch of blocks that have 0 population, and but they still have to be there because they have to be somewhere. And there'll be other blocks that have 500 people in the same block, and there'll be blocks that have 3, 4, 5, small numbers, and they'll have some that have a whole bunch of apartment complexes, and you got 500 or 600 in the same block. And when we do our redistricting, we have to make our districts, I guess our 8 districts probably, and those have to be, I believe, plus or minus 5% of the median of those districts. And so it ends up with some lines being strange, and then there's rules about where you can have a line. The line has to have, I think it's called a readily identifiable physical boundary. Like you can use a road, a river, a railway. And in a few places, I know one of my lines actually just runs between this point and this point across the field. And that's kind of the exception. You don't normally have that. But it's a pretty it's a very complex process, and you can't really move ahead until you get those population blocks. I think that's what they're called, as blocks. Until you get that data from the Census Bureau, there's not a whole lot you can do.
And we'll be expected to have that ready before the 2022 election.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, because the legislature has to go
Yeah.
into session and pass it. And then, Commissioner Meade, you all did approve Bill Brown, who is Anderson County's GIS coordinator in the property assessor's office, to be
Yeah,
your.
we did that.
And
Yeah.
so CTAS recommended, they said they could help you, the comptroller's office could help, or they said what was ideal was for you to have someone in-house who already knew. So he already has reached out to the state and is doing whatever training is necessary to understand their programming. So he's already on top of that.
And as the districts change, it'll be, the commissioners will have to get the word out to who you've got in your district and who don't, because, they'll show up thinking they're gonna vote for a
Yeah.
certain commissioner and they're not on the list anymore.
Yeah. And keep in mind that it's population, it's not like voters.
Right.
It's population. And once we get the final Census Department population numbers for the county, we'll be able to say, well, gee, our districts are gonna have to be that divided by 8, plus or minus 5%. So we already will kind of know where we're headed. And then the statewide, we'll know for sure what the number is for a district. So we can look at this thing about getting a little bit of 36 back, with 33. But there's certain things that you really can't do much until that data is available.
Anything else to come before this committee? Commissioner, Chairman Anderson.
Not so fast, Mr. Meredith.
I'm next to the door.
Were we supposed to take up the magistrate issue, or had that been referred to operations, or was that,
It didn't make it on the list.
didn't get on the,
Yeah. But we can go ahead and do that.
oh, okay.
With a vote.
I didn't know if that was gonna be a separate subcommittee, or if we were
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at that, or if that was,
Yeah, we're supposed to take it up under operations.
Yeah.
I guess if we all vote to go ahead and take that.
Yes, we can add it to the agenda right now. Motion to add it to the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
I saw the circuit court clerk Lynch was here. I didn't know, was there anything you wanted to add about that?
No, just,
y'all, I can't remember if it was at operations or the county commission meeting last month, that y'all talked about forming a subcommittee just to discuss the options and looking into that. There's an issue, the district attorneys talked to me about, he'd like to build a committee. I think Shane spoke to me about, they'll have somebody from the sheriff's office, but just getting a subcommittee of this group to talk about the pros and cons of what we have now with our judicial commissioners, with the next step of going into maybe possibly magistrates, why, if we need them or if we don't need them, but just to take that, to start looking into that.
But from what I understand, it's very favorable for Anderson County to do that.
I think what we need to, like I said, I'm not saying full-blown magistrates, but I don't know, I think as a county as a whole, we need to see what's the next step. Because we do have issues with nights and weekends, particularly with getting search warrants and arrest warrants signed. And you have to either have a judge or a magistrate to sign off on those, and that's.
I personally think it's more of an operations agenda, you know, town, because there's not that much physical, there's no, have a physical note tied to it as much, other than just a salary.
It just depends on how much or how big you want to make, how much you want to do with it.
I think probably this committee could, you know, put that on a monthly thing till we get something worked out,
Rather
maybe?
than just have a
Think so?
subcommittee, just take it up.
Yeah.
Does you want a motion for that? Do we put this as it'll be added to the agenda each month until it's resolved, or? Because it sounds like we actually already took some actions for a special committee to come back with a recommendation.
My only comment is to get people involved with the district attorney.
Right.
Sheriff. You've got people that may not can come, you know, to night meeting, whatever, but you set a time when everybody can get together and form and put all the players, the team players in the same room, let's talk about it.
Now, I guess what we need to do is just we need to go ahead and decide that we'll have like the members of the operations committee, yourself, the judges, and we'll come up with a meeting time other than operations, or?
I think it'd be good to get us all here together one day and, let's talk, get together, let's throw around all the options to see what we need, if we even need it. I think the right players, we make an educated decision.
Okay,
I'd love to volunteer to be on that for any cost savings ideas.
okay,
We could do a workshop, couldn't we?
yeah, good idea,
That way everybody could come.
yeah, it's a good idea. So is that what the motion be to form? to have a
Operations workshop or full commission workshop?
Or, yeah, or I could.
Well,
make it operations.
until this already approved committee is just not, schedules a meeting, I don't know, are we gonna say that they have to come to our meeting, or are we gonna attend theirs? I don't know. It's,
Again, I think what we have in place right now today is we have the judges can sign warrants, at any time, 24/7. We have the judicial commissioners, which sign warrants during the working hours, but they are after somebody has already been arrested. They can't do search warrants, and they can't do arrest warrants.
yeah.
So what we have is that there's something missing for nights and weekends. And I just think it's a committee, if it's a position we're adding, I don't know what it's gonna take. It's something that we need to make sure operations gets involved with it, make a recommendation to the budget or county committee. We gotta start somewhere.
Well, why don't we just hold a workshop? We'll pick out a date, hold a workshop, as the operations committee, invite all these other people, and then whatever comes out of that workshop, then, whether we need to do a subcommittee or,
I make a motion, the chairman contact.
4 o'clock?
The others
Time?
I
involved
think it would just,
and set a time and date for a workshop, and properly advertise it.
Second.
You okay with that?
Second.
okay. Got a motion to second? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Any other subjects to be brought in front of this committee?
Mr. Meredith.
I already made it. I'll do it again.
We'll let that one roll on. Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Meredith. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
I'm trying to remember, do you actually have to have a motion to adjourn? I think if
So-
business has ended,